very good morning, very good afternoon, very good evening, depending on where you are around the world. My name is Emmanuel Ligner. I have the privilege and the honor to lead Cytiva. Cytiva is maybe a company that you know, is definitely a company you know, but maybe you've not really heard about Cytiva, as we are only a 6 months old company, created in April 1st this year. But our legacy and our history is extremely long. Before April 1st, 2020, we were known as GE Life Sciences. And some of our real deep roots are in Sweden, where I know that there's many participants today from in Uppsala, as we are a legacy company, legacy business for Pharmacia Amersham. And so what was very important when we were looking at this transition of becoming from GE Life Sciences to Cytiva, which was acquired by Danaher Corporation, we were really looking at a new name. And we wanted to set up a new name and create a new name which was really related to what our customers and our people are doing every day. And so Cytiva is a composition of a Greek and a Latin roots, which is both extremely important language in science. So cytos means cell in Greek, and iva is a suffix which means enabler, you know, what you can do with, or something that you can do. So Cytiva is absolutely a new company, and I am a fervent believer of purpose-driven organization. And for that, you need to have an extremely clear and an extremely strong vision and mission. And of course, this vision is this world where absolutely every human being can have access to those life-changing therapies, old but also new therapies. And our day-to-day mission is really to work and to come to work every morning to advance and accelerate those important therapeutics. So some of you may have participated to Doc Vogel's previous session where he explained a bit more about us, but basically we are offering a range of products, but also services. I mean, I think it's very important to think about innovation and future technology, not only about a product, but also about services and software potentially as well. But it ranges from research products to really complete biopharmaceutical solution. And we are service this incredible industry, which is the biotechnology industry. And as you know, this industry right now is going to some incredible acceleration. And so I don't want to take too much time on this, but as you know that through the COVID, we can see some unprecedented time. Just look at these three graphs, and look at the scale in particular. If we just compare Ebola and COVID-19, it took around 50 years to arrive to 250 programs in Ebola, where for COVID, in less than 4 months, we have already 1,200 different programs of therapies and vaccine. So the things are accelerating, the things are becoming really a global, speedy system and industry. However, despite this incredible COVID acceleration and pandemics that we're living through where a lot of things are done, there's absolutely some fundamental in the industry that remains, and some needs and some drivers which are absolutely very important, that have remained for a long time and will remain for a long time. Cost, complexity, productivity, there's an absolute need of increasing productivity of the manufacturing of the biotherapeutics to achieve this vision of access to everybody around the world. Regulatory, a lot of pressure on regulatory, competition, biosimilar, et cetera, et cetera. And so the way that we look at how to answer the need, how to serve those needs and make sure that we stay a leading company in the life science is through innovation, is through technology. And so what I wanted to talk to you today is really about these topics about, first of all, a formula around growth, around discovery, innovation, and delivering those innovations to the market. Probably the most important in this graph is right in the centers, is the strategy. You need to have an absolutely clear strategy about where you want your innovation to be and why you need this innovation, in which market. And then the second thing is around your people. Once you have your strategy very, very clear, do I have the right people to deliver those strategy, those technology breakthrough innovation that you have put in your strategy? And do I have the right culture and the right organization is also very, very important. You may have the right people, but if they don't work with the right mindset, with the right passion, and within same goal and motivation, that might not work. And are they set up from an organization structure the right way? Once you have this, this is easier to make your discovery in the right direction. It is easier to have those discovery feeding your R&D pipeline and executing on it. So what I'd like to do around the next 10 minutes is maybe go through a couple of examples on how within Cytiva we are trying through our very clear strategy to do innovation and to bring breakthrough technology differently to the industry. The first example that I would like to take is that we have a very clear strategy around being leaders in the life science industry in sustainability. And so how do you bring breakthrough sustainability innovation in the industry is a very, very important topic. So a couple of years ago, we set up what we call a special CEO funding. So independently to the R&D budget, independently to the normal processes of mechanisms that you have inside the company, we had a special fund set aside, and we run ideas through the entire organization. So for example, we talk about strategy and sustainability. Well, we took that question and we threw it to the entire organization, the 8,000 employees that we have around the world. And we said to them, okay, help us to bring sustainability innovation inside the organization. And we let the entire organization think, brainstorm, and bring us ideas. We obtained about 124 ideas, and we asked the people to vote, to evaluate from themselves. That was the first kind of screening. Once we selected 6, based on the 1,700 votes that we got, those 6 went through a very, very thorough and very structured process that you have in front of you on this slide. This was driven by Dirk Vogel, our Chief Innovation Officer, with an extremely precise process that helped those ideas to be synthesized, to be much more robust, and to have a crystal clear pitch and presentation, which was done in front of a panel of investors, if you want. Our Chief Finance Officer, our Chief Technology Officers, some business unit leaders, and myself. And the result is an incredible dense and passionate teams that comes and really present some very interesting ideas that, by the way, on the 6 selected by the majority of the employee, all of them were funded, and we are moving through right now the execution of it. So this is just to give you an idea of how you can just get new ideas across your organization. But again, based on a very strong strategy, very strong North Star, and a very clear process centered around your people. The other idea that I would like to share with you is something which is coming a bit from another industry. It is what we call the concept car. We in Cytiva have been here for long times. We have been serving the industry with equipment like bioprocessing kit that you can see here for more than 40 years. And we have been very, very good at product portfolio lifecycle management, coming every 2 years with some new models and some improvement, a bit like the car industry is doing. But when we think about how do we bring a total new instruments, something that will really change the industry, you cannot do it by just portfolio management, step by step improving every 2 years. You need to think totally differently. And one way to do this is to use imagination, is to use emotion more than the pure improvement from a scientific standpoint of this little sensor, of this little valve. So how do you bring people together in a room and just let them think totally about what could be the bioprocessing kits of the future? A total new concept, something that you may not be able to manufacture. This is the example of those cars here. the car industry is designing something more than emotion. They load it with all the potential technology, but most of those concept cars do not drive and do not find themselves in the market. And so, but it brings you into a North Star, it brings you into a goal, something that you want to achieve. And it's really sometimes leapfrog totally what you can do. And if you combine this with new technologies such as 3D printing, then you start to have something incredible. This is just a potential example, again, of a concept that we have for the future of technology, of skids, in particular in the bioprocessing market. A much more compact one that is 70% smaller, if you want, easier to manufacture because you have much less connection, because it is going to be 3D printing, something that have much thinner flow paths, which will reduce the holding volume by 80%, which is just very, very important when you think about those proteins which are so valuable for the patient and for the pharmaceutical companies. And something which is absolutely much lighter, which will enable you to save and reduce your CO2 reduction as you're shipping around the world. So this is just two examples that give you the way to do things differently. Now, this industry is, as I said, extremely complex and extremely dynamic, and we cannot do it alone. And I think it's another way that is very important to think about innovation. It's through partnership and collaboration. I think Dirk Vogel in the previous session talked about the Testa centers, a very interesting PPP, private-public partnership, which enable acceleration of the innovation that are done by you know, startups, people which have just ideas outside, but not necessarily having the funding. I was listening to one of the panelists in Dirk's talking about money being an issue. Well, at the Testa centers, equipment here, you do not need to invest. It's a place where you can come, do your research, accelerate your research at a much cheaper cost. It's also important to realize that the partnership can be done in different ways. At the Danaher Corporation, we have an investment capital fund of in excess of $100 million, where we like to place capital in some small startup, in breakthrough potential ideas that we would like to keep an eye on and that would like to seed, like the future innovation. Big lab corporations like ours sometimes are extremely good at lifecycle product management, but not really good at breakthrough innovation. And so this is an area which is always very important for us, is to make sure that we look at what is going on in the market and what are the next very interesting breakthrough innovation that we could then bring in, industrialize, and make a global standard. And finally, it's very important to realize that collaboration with universities, which are places where there is a ton of idea creation, is very, very important. We recently announced multiple collaboration around the world, from UTS, University Technology of Sydney, to Jefferson in Pennsylvania, but also Harvard and MIT, where we are joining forces to create CABIN, which is a center for acceleration on cell and gene therapy innovation. So industrial, academy joining forces to create the ability and the support for startup like our audience today, but also just academic person that have just great idea and can accelerate it then. It's interesting for us because we can, of course, have our product tested and evaluated, and we can get feedback from really people which are really thinking about innovation or doing things differently right at those places. And then you can have a collaboration for the development of the future breakthrough technologies. So I hope this gives you an idea of how we look at the future of technology through innovation, either through internal way of doing things differently and to outside collaboration. Again, for you, what might be very important to think about is making sure that you have a very clear strategy, making sure that you have the right people, which have the same culture, a shared culture, a very strong shared of purpose, supported by the right structure. I hope I didn't go too fast. I'm almost on time. I think I have just 1 minute left on my 15 minutes presentation. I'd like to make sure we stay in touch through either Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and the various social media that exist today. We are always keen to work very closely to the startup because it is very important. One of you might be the next Amgen or the next BioMarine or the next Moderna. I wish you all good luck and thank you very much for listening. Have a great day. Bye-bye.